Today on your calendar.
On March 30, 1867, the United States purchased Alaska from Russia. Alaska was discovered in 1741, when a Russian expedition led by Danish navigator Vitus Bering sighted the Alaskan mainland. In 1799 the Russian-American company RAC received a charter to hunt for fur. In 1821, Tsar Alexander I issued an edict declaring Russia's sovereignty over the North American Pacific coast. This forbade foreign ships to approach within 115 miles of the Russian claim. Only in the 1850s, when Russia was defeated by France and Britain in the Crimean War, that Russian interests in Alaska gradually declined. Grand Duke Constantine, a younger brother of the Tsar, began to press for the handover of Russian America to the United States in 1857. It was already Emperor Alexander II who decided to sell the territory between 1857 and 1858. Both the British and the Americans were approached in 1859. However, British Prime Minister Lord Palmerston steadfastly rejected the offer, arguing that Canada, a number of separate British colonies at the time, had enough uncharted wilderness to deal with, and Britain would overstretch its resources to include Alaska in its existing territories and colonies. U.S. President Johnson, on the other hand, was entangled in the reconstruction of America, and U.S. Secretary William H. Seward had alienated a number of Republicans, so Russians believed that the offer would help divert U.S. attention from domestic issues. After the transfer, a number of Russian citizens remained in Sitka, but nearly all of them very soon decided to return to Russia, which was still possible at the expense of the Russian-American company. A story of the dismay felt by many Russians and Creoles, jobless and in want, at the rowdy troops and gun-toting civilians who looked on Sitka as merely one more western frontier settlement. An account of what life was like for civilians in Sitka under U.S. rule explained why hardly any Russian wanted to stay there. Moreover, the return voyage on the Winged Arrow, a ship that was especially purchased to transport the Russians back to their native country. The overcrowded vessel, with crewmen who got roaring drunk at every port, must have made the voyage a memorable one. With stops at the Hawaiian Islands, Tahiti, Brazil, London, and finally Kronstadt, the port for St. Petersburg, where they arrived on August 28, 1869. American settlers who shared Senator Charles Sumner's belief in the riches of Alaska rushed to the territory but found that much capital was required to exploit its resources, many of which were also found closer to markets in the continental United States. Most soon left, and by 1873, Sitka's population had declined from about 2,500 to a few hundred. The United States acquired an area over twice as large as Texas, but it was not until the Great Klondike Gold Strike in 1896 that Alaska generally came to be seen as a valuable addition to American territory. Alaska Day celebrates the formal transfer of Alaska from Russia to the United States, which took place on October 18, 1867. The date is by the Gregorian calendar, which came into effect in Alaska the following day to replace the Julian calendar, which was used by the Russians. The Julian calendar in the 19th century was 12 days behind the Gregorian calendar. Alaska Day is a holiday for all state workers.
Don't forget to subscribe for more